him. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a servant and messenger. Allah sent him, that is Muhammad, with Deen al-Haq, the religion, the way, the methodology of truth. And this way of life known as Islam will rise to its proper position in this world, whether the mushriks like it or not. Amma ba'd fa inna asdika hadith kitabullah wa awtaka alura kalimatu taqwa wa khairul milali milatu Ibrahim wa khairul sunani sunatu Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wa ashraful hadith dhikrullah wa asanu al-kasasi hadha al-Quran wa khairul umuri awazzimuha wa shairul umuri muhtatatuha wa asanu al-hajju hajju al-anbiya wa ashraful maut katlu shuhada wa amma al-amma dalalatul ba'd al-huda wa khairul amali ma nafa'a wa khairul hadi ma utba'a wa shairul amma al-kalb. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna Allah yahmuru bil adli wal ihsani wa ita'i dhil qurba wa yanha anil fashai wal munkari wal baghi ya'idhukum la'alakum tadhakkarun. Allah commands justice, the doing of good, and liberality to kith and kin. He forbids all shameful deeds and injustice and rebellion. He instructs you that you may receive admonition. فَمَنْ يُرِيدِ اللَّهُ أَنْ يَهْدِيَهُ يَشْرَحْ صَدْرَهُ لِلْإِسْلَامِ. Those whom Allah in His plan willeth to guide, He opens their breasts to Islam. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ حَقَّ تُقَاتِهِ وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. O you who believe, fear Allah as He should be feared, and do not die except in a state of Islam. وَأَتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. And hold on all together by the rope which Allah stretches out for you, and be not divided amongst yourself, and remember with gratitude Allah's favor on you. Kuntum khayra umatin ukhrijat lin-nasi tamaruna bil ma'rufi wa tanhauna 'anil munkar wa tu'minuna billah. You are the best of peoples evolved for mankind, enjoining what is right, forbidding what is wrong, and believing in Allah. Aqulu qawli hadha wa astaghfirullah li wa lakum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khairul mursaleen. Muhammadin al-Nabi al-Ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ijma'in. Amma ba'd. Yaqulu Allahu ta'ala fil Quran al-Kareem. Inna Allaha wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu tasliman. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Maulana Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Remember the last Eid that we just dealt with? We talked a lot about Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, and we talked about his encounter with the world in which he lived. we talked about his position as the Azar was the chief idol maker in his time. So Ibrahim grew up in a society where all he had to do was go along with the program, and he'd have been all right. I mean, he had a big position. His daddy was the chief idol maker. That's like the chief priest. So all he got to do is keep the game on priestism and idolatry, right? And he'll be in the big show. So, because usually in those days they had the king, they had the, let's call in more Western society, the landed gentry, the people who owned castles and things like that. And all the poor people worked for them. It wasn't like people in America. A lot of people owned their own land in those days, or in semi-modern times, especially in Europe, people didn't own their own land. The landed gentry, the dukes and the earls and all them owned all the land, and the other people were serfs. They worked for them. And then they had the priest class. In the West, it was the church, and over there it was the idol makers and what have you, and they ran things. Now, Ibrahim comes along, and Ibrahim did a lot of traveling in his time. In fact, he traveled throughout that part of the world at his time. And in fact, as he was traveling, there's something that happens in traveling, because the Quran says, travel in the earth and see what was the end of those before you. Travel in the earth that you may seek knowledge, or learn the history. So we know that for us, the Quran is the guidance, it's the hidayah, and it is from Allah to Jibril to the prophet of those days. For ours, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is Khatam al-Nabiyin. He's the seal of the prophets. So the Quran, it tells us we should follow that book, and then the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? And then history. That's what it says, travel in the earth. So sometimes travelers seek knowledge, travelers to just get out of your environment for a while. People used to say, I got to go find myself. Well, sometimes when you're around everything in the environment, everything in the environment is pulling at you. It's challenging you. And it's trying to shape and form you. It's shaping and forming you in the food you eat, the God you worship, right? The kind of women you like, the kind of men you like, all that's shaping your, the standards of beauty, right? The standards of wealth, what's happening and what's not happening. So, in this case, I read the ayat before. Wakala, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Wakala inni dhahibun ila rabbi sayahdin. He said, now that's Allah saying because it says, Wakala, like we say, Kul hu Allahu ahad. It says, say. Why is it saying say? It's because the Prophet ﷺ is being asked certain questions about the unity of God. So it says, say, Kul hu Allahu ahad. Or else it don't make sense. Say, that Allah is telling him, say this, say that, right? So that's what this is doing right here. It's saying, Wakala inni dhahibun ila rabbi sayahdin. I will go to my Lord, he will guide me. So this is something that if we're fortunate, all of us will get this type of opportunity. And today I want to express a little bit about the opportunity that I've personally had in this relationship, because in the transmigration of reality, we encounter many things in our environment. And I'd like to start by saying something about, because I've had people talk to me about, well, you say, man, that y'all is outdoing Malcolm and you're outdoing King, and those are the heroes, right? What do you mean? Because it was almost 20 years ago, we did a lecture called Beyond Malcolm. Now, this is not when we felt beyond Malcolm, but that's when we had developed the courage to tell people, right, that we have to go beyond Malcolm X. This is our hero. You know, this is our hero. Now, you didn't hear Malcolm talking about Booker T. Washington and the talented 10th. That was 50 years before him, right? They were focused on their reality at that time. So nobody came to them and said, hey, Malcolm, man, y'all think y'all outrunning Booker T. Washington and talented 10th, you know what I mean? And the boys and all. They didn't say that. And in our life, you know, in the 1936 Olympics, Jesse Owens ran the 100-yard dash in 9.6. Okay. But children run that. I mean, high schoolers, they run that now. In high school, they run that easy. I mean, it ain't no. The 4-minute mile was a barrier, was a historical barrier. But once the person that broke the 4-minute mile, right, it was 43 people in succession right after that that broke the 4-minute mile. Because this was a barrier that was out there ahead of people, right? And they just had a mental block that it can't be done. If you're a marathoner or a runner, Europeans call it the wall, that they're running along, got plenty of juice and everything, and they just rolling. And then something come up, and they run out of gas. They quit. They call it the wall. To them, it's some big barrier that they got to break through. It's not. It's shaitan. So when I was running marathons, every time we get out there, I don't know whether it's 13 miles, 15 miles, 18 miles, the shaitan ease up to you, maybe at the 5th mile, and ask you simple questions. Why are you doing this? Right? It's a simple question. And it comes into everybody's mind all the time. The white people don't know it's the shaitan asking them, why are you doing this? Now, you may be doing it like I was. I just like, excuse me, I enjoyed running. And I also enjoyed, you ain't challenging everybody else. You're not trying to be number one. Now, them guys, when they break out, they gone. But you have 80% of the people running the marathon is running it for the joy of running, you know. And out there, you usually get a crew like this running a certain pace. My pace was about a 7-minute mile for 26 miles, and I ran that good. At that time, I was kind of big, about 200 pounds, and so the white folks would come up to me, You think you're going to make it, big guy? They little bitty skinny people like all. So they thought that's the way you should look. But I was like a truck carrying a lot of fuel. At 26 miles, I wasn't tired. I had all that fuel. I was carrying, you know what I mean? My muscles, we do carbohydrate loading. That's the day before the race. 2 days, 3 days before the race, you don't eat no carbohydrates, maybe even a week. And then the night of you eat all that pasta, carbohydrates, and your body suck all that up. Anyway, it's a long story. So you running, and the shaitan come to you and he say, hey man, why are you doing this? Are you getting paid for it? Are you going to be in a newspaper? I mean, why are you doing this? And the people that are not prepared for that, they quit. Or the race becomes super hard. They call it the wall. It's a barrier. So in our struggle, we call what we're doing, we've always called it the long march, you know what I mean? That it's a distance thing. It's not a close, it's not going to happen in a week, it's not going to happen in a month, it's not going to happen in a year. So we know that it's long range, that we're going to be out here for a period of time. This is a protracted struggle. That means, all right. Now, we know that it's in all our writings. So, our first part of life may have been just to prepare us for all of life is to prepare you. So we're not going to talk about the gangster part and, the very power producing, wealth producing, you know what I mean? We felt that in the late 1960s, we had caught Malcolm then. You know why? Because we was already kind of black nationalists. And when we understood, well, we did. I was following them all along. And so we understood what black nationalism was. Black nationalism is you control your environment. You control what comes in and what goes out. We looked at it even deeper. We thought what we was working for personally, I'm not going to say we, I'm going to say I, because, other people wasn't there. I looked at it like this. The white folks have a mafia, they have a syndicate, right? If they have, then we ought to have one too. It's just natural, right? So when I got big, I tried to work with tried to hook up with all the brothers. First, of course, in Oakland, then we trying to hook up L.A., then I used to go up the coast to Seattle and Portland. Of course, when the white man saw what I was doing, that's probably why I had to leave the country, because he was watching even then, right? So our goal was, in Oakland, East Oakland Enterprises made sure that everybody wanted to get a piece of the pie could get a piece of it. It was different than all other criminal elements. Everybody else got big for themselves, right? They just got to get me some money, got to get a little bit for my mama and my daddy, the other niggas around me, but that's it. Everybody else got to go for themselves. I was different. I said, shoot, it's big money here, right? So everybody, now in those days it was big money. It ain't like the modern little dope dealers out there. You could be a T-90 dope dealer selling matchboxes of weed and buy you a brand new Cadillac. That's how it was in 65, 6, 7, and all that. Because they needed people to sell dope. After they done got everybody stretched out for 35 years, they don't need niggas anymore. So they putting them all in the penitentiary forever. Why? To make sure the niggas don't get big. That was the whole government policy. We're going to do different here. We're going to put dope in their community, but we're not going to let them get big like the Italians did, right? Got to think about it. Think about prohibition. Alcohol is illegal, right? Before prohibition, the biggest money you could get was gambling and prostitution. After prohibition, Al Capone in Chicago made $720,000 per week in 1925 money. That's serious money. You can buy a brand new house for $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. When I was coming up, all these houses around here, they cost the people $10,000. Ask them. That's all they cost, $10,000. So that was then, in the 60s and the 50s. Now imagine back in the 20s. You could buy a mansion for $5,000. But anyway, so what was produced in the 20s, right, was crime syndicates. The mafia got big. Al Capone in Chicago, the other 5 boroughs of New York, right, they got big. They were syndicated. They went out to Las Vegas. They was in LA. They got into everything, right? So when they get dug in, you can't hardly get rid of them because they in unions stealing their money, right? They in everybody's stuff. Jimmy Hoffa and them, all them people, they working with everybody. The police had to knock the Negro over, and drugs was the choice. But he had to make sure that the Negro, they had a revolving door. He didn't get to keep his money. So they structured it. I'm telling you, the police came and found me and turned me out to start selling dope. Yeah. Or I could be a black nationalist or something. What the dummies didn't know was, yeah, I started getting money, but I said, hey, let's share it with everybody. When the white man found out what we was doing, he said, this nigga gotta go. Because organization, movement, discipline, everything you see amongst black people, it must be broken up. It must be shattered. It must be bought out. So if you got East Coast rappers and West Coast rappers, right? Boy, they raking in big money, right? They money. 2 weeks later, they killing each other. Right? They killing each other. Why are they killing each other? Because somebody don't want them to be big. They don't want them to be structured. They don't want them to be organized. They don't want them to get the benefits of wealth, because once you get wealth, you get into this thing, you get into that thing, and pretty soon you're on a roll. Isn't that right? You look at everybody else that come here. They get into one thing first, right? So you see all the Vietnamese, they doing nails and stuff, right? That's at first. Then after that, they get into everything else. Right? You see some people, they get into stores and shops. You can't even buy soul food in D.C. no more. It's lums and yums and Chinese food and stuff. It's okay. I'm just saying, you don't have nothing. Right? You, me and you, don't have nothing. That's by design. Did anybody hear the radio? They've been saying it all week, that the Negroes in D.C. own, the white folks own 81% more, not 81%, 81 times. Have anybody heard that? That's all they've been saying all week long. They're going to have a meeting on August 11th to figure out How did that happen? What do you mean, how did that happen? Pretending they don't know what happened. Okay, so now we got into this thing and we spread it around. And that was against the rules. That was against the rules. The other thing is we studied everybody else. I think it was 1970. I went to visit my partner. He was second in command in Terminal Island, the federal penitentiary down in LA. So I asked him, where did you bury that package? And he told me it was at Granny's house. What had happened was when we was on a big roll, and he went to pick up a shipment, I said, pick up 2. Bury one, and bring the other shipment here. So why is that? I don't know, it's some premonition. It was some feeling that this thing is going so good, it ain't gonna be long. Boss man gonna strangle you, gonna cut your throat. Boss man gonna make sure, if boss man puts you up on something, in a minute, boss man gonna get that package to everybody else that's against you. And you gonna be what niggas used to call hot. You ain't gonna be able to get nothing from nobody, because Big Hank is hot, right? Tell the truth. When you hot, everybody, you're a nice guy, home, but I can't, it's, you hot. That's just the way the game go. So, soon as they started saying that, I went to my partner and asked him, where did he bury that last big package? Because in the movies, every time you're going to do your last job, the last bank robbery, the last this and that, you always go down in flames. Maybe I watched so many of them that I said, they ain't going to take me out like that, so I'm burying. While it's rolling, look at everything. Just go to any movie. Look at all of them. Everybody have a period where they rolling. Boy, look at here, right? Then it starts to fall apart. So we said, I kind of got that feeling myself, because this is what we're doing. That's the way that game go. When boss man rolled on us, all we did was rolled on over to Granny's backyard. In fact, one of the guys is still alive, because in the shovel, one of the shovel went into one of the packages, so it was a little dirt and something that's white powder and a little dirt. Technically, I rolled it like it was. Why? Because a little dirt's just, I didn't sit there trying to pick the dirt out. He said, man, what is it? I said, it's a little dirt, it ain't gonna hurt you. It's dirt. I said, taste that boy and see what it do. Well, man, this is serious. I said, of course it is. So don't worry about the dirt. The dirt ain't gonna hurt nobody. You got dirt on your hands, dirt on your face, dirt everywhere. Right? Look at that dirty car you driving. So you dirty. Don't make no difference. I'm telling you that sometime when you getting placed in line for a job, Allah train you for that job. Now I'm going to get to what we've been talking about all the time. After all of that experience, you go around to everybody and you're talking, man, I'm fixing, boss man trying to take all my stuff back, and I'm going to leave the country. Anybody want to go? That include family, They all say, if it's your wife, she's visualizing running around, hiding in the woods. She ain't realized Monte Carlo and all them places, because you still have a nice little patch of money. They don't visualize that. What about the kids? What about the house? What about this? I said, okay, I'm gone. And even your friends, you find out nobody is adventurous. Even on this second go round, with Islam, hey man, y'all want to ride with me on this? And the gangster world, yeah man, because we got so much money, we would like to ride on that one. What about this thing, this Islam? Oh, I don't know, man. Nobody wanted to go. This just real life, though. I mean, nobody wanted to go. Nobody wanted to be adventurous. So everything that I experienced it alone. When I went to Africa, I went there and experienced all of those. That was when the days of Maasai warriors, and Africa still looked a little bit like what you see on TV a little bit. Great animal migrations and all that. I don't even know if they still have it. But that was the last stage of Africa as we visualized it, you know. But nobody wanted to go. Nobody cared about where the White Nile starts and the Blue Nile starts, and they all meet at Khartoum in Sudan. They didn't care. They just didn't care. They cared about their little block or their little girlfriend or their little Negro children, stuff like that. They were not interested in anything bigger. So all of that, oh man, look at there's the pyramids of Egypt. But then there's pyramids in Sudan. I might have showed y'all some of the pictures. History, civilization didn't go from Egypt up the Nile to Sudan. It came from Sudan down the Nile. So the pyramids started technically, right? We have pictures of it in Sudan. The great statues that you see in Egypt that people think the great hieroglyphics, that writing, Sudan. It started in Sudan, up the Nile. We visited the royal city there. But you couldn't share it with nobody. Nobody wants to go, right? You know, nobody wants to experience. They got the lost city of the Incas, Machu Picchu. You've probably seen the city at the top of the mountains. It's in all the big magazines. It's a great tourist place. It's 18,000 feet up, and you travel on a train from Cusco, the Inca capital, the old Inca capital. And you travel all day, and pretty soon you get to a city that's built on the top of mountains. Why? Because when the Spanish came to kill everybody, the nobles ran away. And they ran up a place, and they climbed these mountains, and they built a city on top of the mountains. You can't see them. If you're walking on a trail down by the river, Urubamba River of all things, you can't see the city up there. It's right, the city is right up there. You can't see it because the city is at the top. That's where they hid. They hid in plain sight right on top of the mountain. And the city is there now. Probably one Negro, they found it in 1911. There's probably 5 or 6 Negroes that even know it exists. Right? What I'm trying to say is, that's the way it is with movement. Sometimes, it's not that you have to go it alone, but it might be like that. That's why, وَقَالَ إِنِّي ذَاهِبٌ إِلَى رَبِّ سَيْهِدِينَ. When you going through this period of searching and trying to find, right, something, this ayat pops out. I will go to my Lord. This is what was revealed to Ibrahim, right? I will go to my Lord, to Allah. He will guide me. All these gods, in those days, the white man is God. The white man got a God complex, right? Everybody, the white man is God. Everybody here thought that, and there was a few people talking about the black man was God, but it was the same as the white man was God because it was Christianity. It turned upside down, right? For them, all the angels was white, right? God was white because the Son of God was white. So if you look at the Son, you can figure out what the Father looked like, right? So Jesus was always white. The nice little heart on his, he's knocking at the door, and you can open up, and all that stuff. All right? So you have to encounter each person in their life, they're going to encounter some of those things. So with Allah, what you're saying to Allah, inni zahibun ila rabbi sayahdin, I will turn to Allah and He will guide me, because all those false gods, nationalism, racism, money, Hollywoodism, right? Those are all illahs. Those are all little gods. And people worship that stuff, right? They like it. And they like it so much that they get trapped in it and they never leave it. Although they know, did you know that everybody in Hollywood almost have a psychiatrist in Hollywood? Because they live in a funny style life. I'm going to pass on through this. And they need a psychiatrist that have more problems than they do, trying to explain to them their situation. But it looks nice. You can't leave it because that's what everybody said, right? Do you know who the most troubled women in Hollywood is? The finest women. They trouble. They this big around, and then they say, oh, I got 2 little grams of fat on my finger. They just be ready to kill themselves. Tell the truth. They got to go to the psychiatrist. What will I do? What can I do? Right? And they have this picture. And then they get the bulimia. They get to eating and throwing up. And they, all that stuff. Because they're addicted. Their gods are the ones that's in trouble. Now, the thing about Ibrahim, he had an idea. Ibrahim was a idol breaker. That's what he did. So Ibrahim, he took the axe, went up there, beat the idols upside the head, and then put them in the other idol's hand, the one that was alive. They said, who broke our idols? I don't know. Ask him. You know he can't talk. He can't, and then they flashed. That's right. We made the thing. He can't talk. So not only it can't talk, it can't do nothing. So he realizes, and they realize that they done made a mistake worshiping those gods. But then right away, they flash back to Jahiliyyah, to ignorance. And they said, burn that boy. I heard that boy Ibrahim talking about these idols. He must have did it. So, that's what they did. They went and got Ibrahim. Kulna ya naru. Kuni bardan salaman ala Ibrahim. We said, O fire, be thou cool, and it means of safety for Abraham. So things that are hot, they're supposed to destroy you. When you under Allah's direction, those things that should punish you the most become a means of your safety and your subsistence. The fire is your tranquility. It burns up everybody else. Boy, but it sure feels good to Abraham, isn't it right? And now, when you're following that path and you go around the world, inni dhahibun ila rabbi sayyidin, I will go to my Lord. He will show me what to do. That's basically it. Right? So you're putting yourself, right, under this guidance. Now remember, the Quran is revealed to the prophets. Of course, the angel and the prophets, right? But who's it for? It's for you, right? It's for you. So when you really understand that, then you realize that the Quran is revealed for you. The Prophet, peace be upon them all, were guideposts. They were examples. Prophet was uswatan hasanatan. He was a beautiful pattern of conduct for us, right? That's what he was. So the Quran is revealed to him, but for him to act upon so we could see how it's done. So when we go through those channels, we can all go back to that. That's why Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as Khatam and Nabiyyin, he is the seal of the prophets. Can you turn the cool on just a bit? Yeah. So anyway, he's the seal of the prophets. Ain't gonna be no prophet after. Right? That's it. Ain't gonna be no prophet after. So since it ain't gonna be no prophet after, then that's for you to follow. Right? You're supposed to follow the prophet, peace be upon him. He already followed it. And he gave you the hidayah. Now we'll get back to it. So it ain't going to be no prophets here in 2035, 2040, or 50. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was Khatam an-Nabiyyin, seal of the prophets. But we have the same guidance that he had, right? So when we come up against this and then we start to realize, oh, hey man, we was following a prophetic example all of our lives and didn't know it. That's why when Allah got you hooked up for something, he gonna train you for the fight. We always say that. Allah ain't gonna put you in no fight and you ain't trained for it. In fact, his training will probably be harder than the fight. Very simple. We always talked about science fiction management. When you go outside, I want you to look in the parking lot. There's a yellow Volvo, a Volkswagen there. There's 2 cars there. There's junk stuff all back there. There's other cars that are very good cars. You have to ask, how did they get there? How did they get there? Right? Okay, you jump in the car, go about a half a block, and the car won't work. No big deal. You get another car, drive up, it's been running perfect. You get lucky, you get it back here. You go up on the roofs, and you see that the roof on almost every property that you have, the masjid have, somebody done knocked holes in them. Is that right? Somebody knocked holes over there on 8th Street. You can see the people pull the tarp, just pull the stuff off. You can see right there. It's pulled off. Okay. You go to look at the nice property we done acquired, but you got to go pay $3,000 something in taxes over there for what? A piece of paper that you didn't know nothing about. Why? Because they get something on you, clean this property up, and then they hold it back. And they don't send it to you no more. They say, we sent it. We say, we ain't never got it. Don't make no difference. You can pay it or we'll just take your property. That's all. You don't have no hearing. Not at that point, right? You don't have no hearing at that point. You can pay it or we'll take your property. That'd go on. Man, that's been going on 20-something years. So that means that we've been a target. Forget about the target way back there, a long time ago. But I'm talking about right here today. When you look outside, none of those cars work. None of them. They don't work now. And why would there be so many cars out there anyway? Because of our policy of expendable cars. Expendable. That means we drive it. The only reason we didn't walk away from those cars because we was close by here. But we had them nice, hey man, we choose cars. You can ask Senator Brothers, they run good. But if they stop out on the highway, we get out. If the police don't like it, we keep the car. We just go on about our business. We call them expendable cars because there's something been going on since we're the target One of the things is mess with the cars. Cars is only one thing. Roofs is another. Health is another. Yeah, health. I've been talking about science fiction management, but I haven't said what it was. Science fiction management. You remember we talked about you're going to sacrifice, in order to grow and develop, to break the barrier, you're going to have to sacrifice your your Ismail. And then we discussed, what is your Ismail? Is it your language, your culture, your PhD, right? Your money, your wealth, is that your Ismail? The thing that you have to set aside in order to go, or to conquer in order to go to the next stage. So for me, you know what it is? Privacy. My right to privacy. Your right to privacy. I might as well go on and tell it all. I've been holding it back for 20 years, so I might as well start telling you what's been going on around here. Or the stuff you look at, it looks normal. It ain't normal. Ibrahim was an idol breaker. And he tore up the idols. The United States is the biggest idol in the world. It won't be long. Boy, is having this. Boy, that idol gets slapped by everybody now, right? But the people looked at America, right, as the great symbol, the great sign of all kind of whatever attributes they gave it. Of course, they wasn't true, but they saw it as that, and people act off their perception, not reality. Now, we haven't felt that way about Boss Man. Brother got a shirt on, Boss Man Bite the Dust. It's been this box up now. Boss Man is biting the dust bad. The Negro has suffered so much since he's been here that it's unbelievable. The Quran also has another message, and I will, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna Ibrahima kana umatan qanitan lillahi hanifan wa lam yaku min al-mushrikeen. Abraham was indeed a model, devoutly obedient to Allah and true in faith, and he joined not gods with Allah. So this is saying, Inna Ibrahim kana umatan. At that time, think about it now, Ibrahim is said to be the father of monotheism. That means he was the monotheist on earth at that time, right? He was. That's what it's saying. Inna Ibrahim kana ummatan. He was the ummah. That gives you the feeling that sometime you're going to have to do things maybe by yourself. If it comes to that, you can't stop and say, well, okay, nobody wants to go. Nobody wants to travel. And then especially, you got to go up against the biggest idol in the bushes, Boss Man. You got to go up against the United States of America. Nobody wants to do that. People that talk gangster talk, that belong to all these organizations, Black Power, you ain't got none of them that have a program called How to Punk the FBI, right? You just don't have them. Maybe they didn't have a chance to do it. Maybe they forgot, right? We do. Why? Because that's how we feel about Boss Man. Boss Man let us tussle with him so long, right? Without him pulling the cord, that we said, Boss Man, you ain't nothing. And we act like it. And we say, you can do anything you want. It don't make us no difference. We're not going to change no policy. And ain't nobody scared of you. Now, you got to remember now, you look here in America. Who's talking like that? CARE? They don't talk like that. All the big multi-zillion-dollar organizations, ISNA, ICNA, do they talk like that? Not only they don't talk like that, that's their idol. Right? That's their idol. You talking about America? America gave us freedom, and we can run around here and vote, and you're talking about, I said, hey, look, that's your America. That ain't mine, homeboy. They done sold the other Negroes on the immigrants' picture of America, right? And they Negroes. They know ain't. Look, we all know anybody that never had any freedom, justice, liberty. Just raise your hand so I could see, put you on the book here. Liberty, liberty, freedom, freedom, freedom. How about justice? Simple, just justice, equality, fairness. Anybody had any? Anybody had? Out of the people here, we haven't had no justice, no equality. That a dumb police barely can sign his name, carries a badge and a gun, and has a right to shoot you down in the street. Right? Or in your house. Or anywhere else, right? He has that right. And he's not going to go to court or go to prison for the rest of his life. He ain't going nowhere. And if you run in the backyard and one of them look up and say, gun, all the rest of them going to load up on you. Abu Luwima had 41 bullets in him up there in New York. Gun! Bam! They cut loose on him. Oh, it was a wallet. Can you imagine all them shootings and they found out one gun on a Negro? And it's the policy of the police that I know. They carry a little pistol with them, right? So when they shoot you, they just drop it on you. This nigga had a gun, right? Something like that. All the police that I knew did that. That's where they practice. In Oakland, they carried a little something down, just in case they had to shoot somebody. That's our picture of America. Now here we are. We didn't ask Allah. I will go to my Lord. He will guide me. But he say, well, you going back to America then, and get old homeboy there, deal with him. And then you got to figure out how, wait a minute, that might be, because see, the prophets got it in words, but you didn't get it in words. So you can try to make excuses. Maybe the little whisper I got, maybe the little wind was blowing the wrong way. You know, maybe the little feeling I had wasn't right. So let me go try to find a way not to go back. I got to go back and get with boss man. Everybody else didn't run off from him. And the message for me is go back and jump on boss man. And don't give him nothing. Just jump on him. Oh, my goodness. Let me see. You know, when you got to sacrifice your Ismail, right? The devil come to you. That's why the Jum'ah, you throw rocks at the Satan. Because the Satan coming to you when you supposed to sacrifice your son, now you lack him even more. You know, somebody take something from you, you want it even more now. You might have had something sitting on the desk for 5 years. You didn't pay no attention to it. Somebody wanted, oh man, I like that. I can't get that up. It's too dear to me. The same thing we do in life. So you got to throw some serious rocks at Shaitan. Get on away from here, man. And you got to do it psychologically. Do you know you can tussle with the Shaitan, since it's all in the head, you can throw him on the ground, kick him in the behind, slap him upside the head. I do it all the time. I say, you better not come around here no more. Psychologically, right? That's what the Prophet ﷺ said, do you have a Satan even O messenger of Allah? He said, yes, but I've conquered that shaitan, and now he only suggests good to me. In another hadith related to the same hadith, it says, he has become Muslim. Aslam, I mean, he has submitted. So that's the way we look at shaitan. Who you talking to? Coming here trying to make somebody sad. You know, America's sad now because old Don is messing up. Look, Don that messed up everybody's life. That boy is good. And you hear everybody talking about Miss Obama said, oh, I feel depressed. I feel, it's on the news stuff. I don't feel depressed. Feel great. Great, not great because this misery that everybody going through, but because the bigger their misery index, the closer it gets to that end of that special time when we get to where we want to transform America, right, into something good and into something real. So let me speed up here a minute. So then, in many cases, you may have to do it by yourself. In the beginning, because rebellion transition is not a person, it's not some one person do. Everybody gets to win. But somebody have to stand out there and be the target. And when you're a target, there's a whole crew of people that feed off you. They get their salary off you. They get all of that. I'm telling you, because you're the target. They're employed because of you. You ought to go and collect money from all. They ought to give you 10% of their salary. The tattletales here and around. They should. Because they'd be low-level tattletales if it wasn't for you. Right? They'd have a really dull job. Like if we wasn't here in D.C., the tattletales would have a boring job watching old, slow criminals do nothing. Urinate on the sidewalk or something. But we didn't put them in the big time. How is that? Hey, man, we just got off the front page of Zionist newspapers. You know, they're going to try to trap you and everything. So there's Imam Musa. Imam Musa is part of Hezbollah. Something, I don't know if y'all saw it. Yeah, he's cells, they call it, American cells, Hezbollah. So they tried that at first, and then we have a rule. I'm telling you, the rule is whatever you do, I'm going to turn it into something and bust you upside the head with it. Therefore, they took us off. Yeah, they was running us up to New York, Hannity type stuff, right? Hannity. And everybody was saying, you can't go up there. Them white people gonna do that. I said, white people ain't gonna do that dummy. And then Hannity, you know what he says? Imam Musa, I know you're gonna say something controversial. I said to myself, this white man is the biggest fool in world history. They done sat up Sami al-Arian. They want me to come in there and say, we gonna burn America down. Because they said this is a dumb nigga, you know what I mean? Every time, they'll get you off the screen, I'm telling you, right downtown at the press club. This was almost 20 years ago. They had all these hotep hustlers, y'all call them? Hotep hustlers. All them Negroes down there. And they had, what did they call it? Something or other. It was a 4-hour program at least. What was some of them Negroes down there? Let me see. The New Black Panther Party was there. All of them. Now, the reason the white folks did that is because they done heard all of us before. So they say, the way you finish them niggas off, give them time to say what they want to say. So they had us all down there and they thought we was going to show our black asses. Yes, they did. They were certain about it. That's why they had it. And then they had the program and everybody got fooled. Some of them showed they behind. But us, we got historical on them, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and this is how that happened, this is why that happened, and this is a historical reality. That night, they showed it again on C-SPAN that night, 1:30, and it never showed up again on TV. Abe Foxman called the next morning, head of the Zionists, whatever they call themselves. I said, that's it. That's it. And we had to go buy the thing from C-SPAN. You couldn't tape it no more. They didn't show it anymore. What I'm telling you, there is a special eye that they got set aside for the Negro. The system feels now, because of guilt, because of all kind of associated psychological dispositions that they have, they feel that we have done the Negro historically so bad that if they ever get charged of anything, they're going to do us like we did them. That's what they think, and it's not true. I'll just give you two quick examples. Jomo Kenyatta, 61, when the Tanganyika was formed, Tanzania. Jomo Kenyatta's first speech was an accommodating speech for the white people. He had been the head of Mau Mau's, and if you hear now the word Mau Mau, it'll make you scared. The Mau Mau's killed 55 white folks, and the white folks killed 155,000 Mau Maus. Good God Almighty, the math don't. And the Mau Maus is the one, they don't set up bad, old, evil, mean British, do they? Why, they're civilized. But the Mau Maus, right? What I'm trying to tell you is, when they took power, Jomo Kenyatta said it's all right. Nelson Mandela, look at the people they slaughtered in South Africa, right? When Nelson Mandela came to power, what did he do? It's all right. We're a rainbow coalition. Everybody's fine, right? Black people always forgive white people. They never forgive other black people. This is the only problem we got. What we hear today, we're trying to train ourselves that if a nigga step on your shoe, it's fine. Wipe it off, get another, do not shoot him. Right? Have compassion for each other. Because the world is being prepared right now for a transitional period. We are already placed in a position to assist the world in a global transition. We just have to believe we can see ourselves in that. Don't see yourself as a tattletale, a stool pigeon, a coon. Don't do that. See yourself as an able-bodied human being with the ability to participate in and be a positive addition to global transformation. That's all. That's what's happening in the world. It's not only a problem with you and I. Do you know people of the world, there's a colonial mentality and then there's a slave mentality. Colonial mentality, well, slave mentality, they just brought you over here and took everything. Language, culture, religion, right? Just took everything from you. A colonial mentality, but your illah is that system. The colonial mentality is like most of the world was a few years ago. You still have your food, your language, your culture, your curries, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Hot spice, you got all that. You get to keep that. But you visualize The euro is God. In Tanzania, they used to refer to a big personality as Bwana and Kuba. Big Bwana. But they also referred to God in those same terms, Bwana and Kuba. The white man had godly characteristics. Yeah. Yeah, you don't believe it, but you ought to. Yeah, when I was there, it was a long time ago. No, I've been back many times. Those are real characteristics. Now, back to targetism. Back to what is my Ismail? Privacy. The right for privacy. The right to live your own life. Now, just because you say you have a right, no, you don't have a right because you're the target. Boss man, when he gets you running on his course, he can affect your health, he can affect your psychology, he can affect everything else. And those are the points I'm going to make and then close. Since being adventurous and running around, when I went up to McNeil Island, by that time I'd been all over the world. It's 74 now. And I was in the nation and I worked in the hospital. And another guy, I was a captain at that time, another guy worked in the hospital too. He worked in radiology. So they put the big old, lead stuff on you, and they take a picture of your lungs. And then the doctor held my that thing up, to the light. He said, "My, those are terrible. Those lungs are terrible." And it had spots all on them. Now, of course, I was running all in the mountains. I was really enjoying myself. You know where Muhammad Ali did boxing underwater? When I was in the harbor in Dar es Salaam, I'd run on the beautiful beaches in the Indian Ocean, go out in the water and be punching. I was a little younger then. And then, they held up so I knew, "Did you work in any mines or something?" I said, "I ain't been close to no mines. Boy, I've been really out getting fresh air." So he said, "Well, we had to take a little biopsy." I didn't think nothing of biopsy. You just cut a little piece off. And then I thought about it, though, after a while. And I told my partner working in there with me, I said, "Hey, man, this is your job, radiology. Can you take a picture, my lungs, see what they look like?" Now, that's what he do. He took a picture. He said, "Boy, those are the cleanest lungs I ever seen. Boy, them boys are spotless." I said, "Boss man said," so it all added up. You know how they clip the ears of the way they tag animals? Well, if a nigga always running off the plantation, remember, I'm one of the ones that run off the plantation. So, every time I ran in the hills after that in Oakland, or over in Rock Creek Park when I got here, when I'd run in Rock Creek Park, look at here, boy, I could go anywhere back in the woods I wanted, but when I came out, it was always a park ranger there. Right? Sometimes I'd run in the hills, real hills, and I'd jump off the trail and just for test. And there was always somebody close by, making sure. Sometimes they'd actually be looking. Because they'd be... Remember I told you this science fiction management. Now I just want to bring y'all up to par. That was in the 70s and 80s and 90s. Now I'll bring you up to the 90s. In South Africa, we want to take your stuff to see about high carbs and low carbs. So they had these health people. This is a rich family looking at everything. Well, they got a blood test. and then they would tell you what your reading is, and how to lose weight and all that stuff. So the doctor that was doing mine, he said, you don't have to do nothing, just keep doing what you're doing. But then when I got back here, I had blood clots. Blood clots. So if they get your blood, they can see what little mixture we have to shake up, right? And make homeboy, or sprinkle a little in his food. It'll go with whatever else we got, and he'll have good blood clots. So all of a sudden, I had blood clots. When they had the blood clots, then at the hospital at Harriman, Philadelphia, they have to go into you, put a little thing in there, goes into your lungs, and the doctor says, now if you cough a little bit, that's all right. So I didn't think nothing at first, but then if you cough, that means your body is trying to reject something, right? It's too late. Science fiction management means that once they get you juiced up, they can control your health. You don't believe it? Well, I'm just telling you about that stuff, and I'm going to tell you now what I've been dealing with all along. There's a nice foot right there, but that foot hurts. For what reason? I have no idea. I have no idea, and it hurts bad. But I just gone about my business. 2 weeks ago, it was this right here. Now, remember, I ain't hit nothing with this. I haven't stepped on nothing. I haven't fell on nothing, nothing. That's science fiction management. I'm going to speed up. I have to deal with that all the time. And all this other junk, the cars, and niggas leaving stuff out there, right? Just leaving the dump truck, and it's okay. And another junk truck get out, right? I deal with that stuff all the time. But you know what? It ain't nothing. Why? Because whatever fight Allah put you in, He trained you for it. Anybody else would be so sad, they wouldn't want to deal with it. My attitude is this: go and do something, boss man. Whatever you do, I'm going to turn it around and slap you upside of your head with it, whatever it is. Right? I'll tell you where that come from. That's an attitude. Yes, here it is. Relate to them the story of Noah. Behold, he said to his people, O my people, if it's hard on your mind that I should stay with you and commemorate the signs of Allah, yet I put my trust in Allah. Get ye then an agreement about your plan amongst your partners. So your plan be not dark and dubious, then pass your sentence on me and give me no respite. Now, y'all got an idea of prophets as kind of kindly old gentlemen, right? You got to read the Quran. Here's Noah. What's he saying? Look, talking to the people, boss man, you suckers downtown, if it's hard on you, the stuff I'm saying every Jum'ah, if you don't like it, then get you another plan, a super plan, where everybody know what you're talking about, not no little sign wagging and doing stuff like that so you sending signs. No. You make your plan open and concrete and clear. And then it says, and don't give me no break. Why you specify, don't give me no break? Because the tougher the challenge you face, the higher the obstacles, the more you encounter, the better and more prepared you are going to be. So you don't hire everybody else. They like to get away. I don't want no trouble. I don't want this. No. Not here. You got trouble? Bring it on. Bring it on. I'm not going to sit here and ask you, please, boss, don't do that. I don't want to feel sad today. Boss man, I want to just get up and feel fresh. I don't want to be sleepy all day. Right? Because if you're getting ready to do something, boss going to give you something sleepy. You're going to be sleeping all day. And you don't know why. Well, I know why. Shoot, when we moved here, we had a special brand of coffee. I just love that coffee because it just juices you up. Now, it don't juice up everybody else, but it juices me up. I'll be ready to go. Boop. Before I know it, I'd be drinking that same coffee. Same thing happened now. They got brands of Starbucks coffee that I drink. To me, it's like drinking cocaine. I'm just not talking. I'm telling you, I be looking here, eyes big and ready to go. And somebody then told them, when he come in, put something in there, and that same coffee. And the people will say, oh, you just got used to it. I said, you don't get nothing one day, and then you used to it the next day, and then it go back. If you go to somewhere else, some other shop, you get juiced up. I said, I got enough sense to know that, right? That's science fiction manager. That's boss man. That's you not having your privacy. But for the movement, it's great. Why? Because you've been trained for it. Now, the average person, they're not going, hey, man, they ain't going to be ready for that because everybody, the white man looking at me, they can see everything I'm doing. Man, I didn't like that stuff at all. That's years ago. That's years ago. That's 35 years ago. That's 40 years ago. But when you start getting closer to now, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, you realize that's the hand you've been dealt, right? And so you come up with what's in your arsenal, your weapons: kindness, optimism, and humor. Why? Because the white man tried to make you mean, evil. He did it before. I looked at a picture of me back in 70-something. I said, that nigga, that is mean. That's not me. I used to be happy, fun-loving guy. And it only happened for a few months. I just looked at that picture in a nightclub. I said, boy, so I quit for a while, of course. Retired because what the white man said, what is it if you gain the world and lose your soul? Did somebody make you somebody different than you started out? Right? Somebody apply pressure on you. All I'm doing is talking about what it takes for us to get where we want to go. And remember, when you see me, you're looking at another Negro. Therefore, if I can do it, you can do it. Simple as that. And then you may not have to do it a whole lot. If enough of us do a little bit, the boss man walk by, do just like you're on one of them chain gangs when you're working. Everybody play the boss man there, you just working. When the boss man leave, you just, all of y'all sit down and start talking again, right? So do the same thing on tattletaleism. No, when boss man come by, yeah, boss man, we got our eye on the brother. Boy, that's a mean nigga there, I don't like him. Then, when boss man go by, right, then you drop a little something here for the brother, drop a little something there for the brother, right? Help. The white man don't know nothing unless you tell him. And I'll close with this. When I was in Tanzania, it's a place up in Mount Meru was up there, about 38 miles from Kilimanjaro. So they have some hotels and stuff. So we were staying up there for a while. And when I got up in the morning, I'd still get up early in those days, and I'd see the guy. He would be working in the kitchen. Then he'd be there at midday. Then at night, he would be in the bar. So me and my partner, we was in the bar. We said, hey, man, how much time do you have for your family? He says, well, I get 4 hours, about 4 hours. I said, because I saw you here in the morning, 6 o'clock. Then I see you all day. Then I see you in the bar. You're here in the bar. He said, well, so my friend was a bartender. So he said, look here, man, how much we pay for that? That's going to be 14 shillings, about, at those days, it was about $2. That's big money over there, though, because you made $1 a day in those days. Now they make $2. A whole day's salary. So my partner said, hey, you just take that money that we're giving you and you put it in your pocket. He said, no, I can't do that. I said, why? He said, Buana will know. He says, how will Buana know? Well, I will tell Buana. I said, that's right. You'll tell Buana. Buana ain't got no sense. So we say now, every time we come in, you do the same thing. And you will earn enough money off of us that you would make in 2 or 3 weeks. So the guy listened. The next night we came in, the brother that was a bartender, he was a bartender, so he knew what to look for. He said, you got to slow down. He said, see that label right there? He said, last night, that whiskey was right on that label. Now it's too high above it. That means you didn't put too much water right in there. So take it easy. Don't get greedy. You get a standard how much money you want to make, right? You want to steal $15 per day. That's 15 times as much as you make, because they made $1 a day in those days. But don't try to get 60 or 80 or 100. You want to do this every day, all the time. And when you tell Buana, this is what we made. You want it to be consistent. You don't want it to, you know what I mean? Ain't no money tonight, Buana. You can't do that. Boss man gonna fire you. So the point is that they didn't know nothing unless we told them. What about boss man downtown? Well, there's a lot of Negroes down there. He don't know nothing but what we tell him. If y'all tell him, oh, Musa ain't smart, he crazy, just tell him that every now and then, but because he know better. Then get a union, telltale union, a stool pitching union. Yes, you get us to. I'm telling you how to do this. I mentioned this 15 years ago. Didn't I mention this 15 years ago exactly? But have a little empathy for the brother. I'm already, look here, I'm already doing it. You already see that the job is being done. Right? Boss man, if all of y'all get together on it, not all of y'all, but all of the people get together, we can knock this joker over. He don't know nothing but what you tell him. You just got to keep it consistent. Consistent, and it looks just like it looked before. Yeah, he just running around talking all that trash, and then all you do, remember, we have never asked the Negro here for no more than 10% cooperation. You said, oh, that's not possible. Well, what about the people in Oakland? Where did they come from? Why they all leave at the same day? What about here, D.C.? D.C.? How many shifts of people have we had to come here, right? And then they go through. Shift after shift after shift. How many Salafis have we had. We didn't have the bitter man and all of them peoples, wave after wave after wave, from over there on 8th Street all the way over here. Where is all the people, all them demonstrations that we had, downtown and everywhere? Dar Hijra was there. Islamic Center of Maryland was there. Everybody was there. Where are they at now? Where's the research center that was right around the corner? Why it disappeared? Where did it come from? Where's all the Africans that used to come here way back when around the corner, remember? Full of Africans. They open up the joint right around the corner, research center, till it's clear that ain't nobody else coming here after 10 or 15 years, then it closed down. It's closed down, right? We've been dealing with that stuff for 40 years, every day, and we're still here. We don't mind. We know that's not the price, but that's the cost for doing this. But allow yourself to dream a little, just a little. You don't have to get to visualize a little. And then you look at Boss Man. Not only, look, we prayed right here before all of y'all. Oh, Allah, make a fool out of the United States government, make a fool, right? Y'all remember that? That's the dua. What do we got now? I almost want to reverse the dua because that man is so crazy. Look, it's unbelievable, isn't that right? Everything we asked for, we got. And any price we have to pay on these cars, punching holes in the roof or whatever, it's okay. We got that covered. We like that. We like that. We turn all of that to a benefit because that's what we've been given. Okay. And the last, if it's the last one, invite all to the way of thy Lord with wisdom and beautiful preaching, and argue with them in ways that are best and most gracious. For thy Lord knoweth best who has strayed from the path and who received guidance. It goes back to kindness. Never carry a grudge. Never feel cut off or isolated, and definitely never feel alone. As long as you, I just mentioned one more thing before closing. Even names. And I'll definitely close with this. Of course, y'all know my name is Imam Musa. Back in the 70s, when it was coming into the real Sunnah, not that other stuff. So we said, well, we was doing stuff here, doing stuff there, so we're probably gonna stay active in the movement for the good of the people. So in choosing a name, Abdul Alim means servant of the all-knowing. And that's a good name because you're a servant of the all-knowing. You don't know everything. But when you big, you ever see big niggas out there in the street, they know everything. I'm the biggest nigga in town, pimping hoes, slamming Cadillac doors, da-da-da-da-da-da. They ain't got no cutoff on all that talk, right? Because they know everything, right? And sometimes when you're in that environment, you begin to think that you actually do know a lot. Until you realize, looking at life, that technically you don't know a whole lot of nothing, right? So when you name yourself, you choose a name that reminds you, the servant of the all-knowing. And then Musa, what did Musa's people do? Yeah, Musa bring them across the river and everything. Musa got them out there, look, the shade that's following them all around. headed to the promised land, right? And the people is complaining. The Bible says they was talking about, Musa, we had it better at the flesh pots of Pharaoh, the meat pots, than running around here with you free. Nobody cared nothing about freedom. We lacked it back then in slavery. That means when you get to running around and challenging boss man gonna run to a few of you and say, shoot, you couldn't have everything you want. That man over there is crazy, right? So you have to be on your job, because that's what he do. Musa goes up to get, let's say, the 10 Commandments. And when he get back, look, Allah done brought him across the water, man. Open up the water, and Pharaoh drowned right in front of their own eyes. That's enough for me. I don't need that. I got it. Right? Tell the truth. 95% of us in here, we see that, right? We said, I don't need no more. I don't need that. That's fit. I got it. Don't worry. No, well, what do I got it. I saw that with my own eyes. Not Bani Israel. And then they get shade. You know how hot it's been lately. Just imagine when you was in the shade. Boy, the shade, if you out on the hot desert and you got clouds following you around to give you shade, you got to know something's going on. That ain't enough. And he go up to get the divine information. And he get back, and they done took all their gold and made a little calf, you know, because other people got them, right? So I always thought that our people was kind of like Moses' people. And no matter what you do, that's how everybody. So far, it's been pretty close. So far, it's been pretty close. You can give both of your arms in the struggle. People will come and blame it on you. Man, you just gave 2 arms, nigga. That ain't nothing. What about your foot and your other foot? You got to get at too, right? And you got all them teeth in your mouth. You got to pull them out and spread them on out on the table, right? That's the way the people do. We're not happy with freedom. Freedom? What? The flesh pots of Pharaoh, welfare, and all of that. Hey, man, easy going, ill-gotten gains is better than the self-discipline, self-control, management characteristics that lead to freedom, justice, equality, and makes you a contributing human being. O Allah, we seek thy refuge from anxiety and grief, seek thy refuge from lack of strength and laziness, we seek thy refuge from cowardice and niggardliness, we seek thy refuge from being overpowered by debt and the oppression of men. O Allah, suffice us with what is lawful, keep from us what is prohibited, with thy grace make us free from want of what is beside it. Ameen. Ikamat as-salat.